you start talking comfortable, I will start the clock.
Okay, alright. I'm going to try not to use notes at all, so yeah, bear with me. In Japan, they do something called kinstakiri. And what it is they're taking objects that are broken and mending them with gold. They do this in honor of the breakage and the experience that the object went through to become unique. They find this more valuable and more beautiful than the object was in the first place. For us in the Western world, this is a very strange concept because we're used to just throwing away things when they're broken. We don't repair them, and we definitely don't gild them in gold. But the reality is that each and every one of us has gone through a disruption which has cracked and broken us in different ways. And some of those cracks are healing, some of them have healed, and some of them are still raw. But each and every one of those cracks deserves to be gilded in gold because they are what make you beautifully unique. I know that you're all looking at me and you're thinking, you're not broken, you haven't been broken, but in fact, yes, I have. I've been shattered into a million little pieces. Not a gentle like vase falling on the ground and a little hairline crack. It's more like one of those Greek fathers at a wedding holding the piece of glass above his head and smashing it to the ground so that he can get as many pieces as possible out of it. About 3 years ago now, I was living my dream. I was a film producer. I had a radio show, which I loved. I met beautiful people, went to beautiful places. My life was extraordinary. And one day, I started getting a pain in my wrist. It was a strange pain. I hadn't felt something like it before. And it caused a disruption in my life. And it grew and grew and grew. And within a couple of months, the pain had spread all over my body. And I couldn't get out of bed. I also had brain fog. And after blood test and blood test and blood test and misdiagnosis after misdiagnosis after misdiagnosis, I was put on Schedule 7 painkillers, which going from a homeopathic baby to Schedule 7 painkillers was an extreme leap. Those painkillers, one of them caused acute depression, which coupled with the fact that I'd become my worst nightmare, which was a failure because I couldn't function, caused me to try and take my life. In the fog of all of that, I found myself in a rehabilitation center in Sedgefield. It was there that I remembered that I'd been abused when I was little. I was trying to process all of this, and I was dealing with a psychologist, Gus. He was absolutely fantastic, and he was doing shadow work with me, as within, so without. And he said to me, Susana, where have you been abusive in your life? And I said, me? Abusive? Gus, are you crazy? I got so pissed off. I was like, I step over ants for crying out loud. I've never harmed anything knowingly in my entire life. And he said, Susana, you're abusive somewhere. Find it. And so I dug deep, really pissed off, but I kept digging and digging and digging. And then one day, it hit me like a ton of bricks on my chest. I'd been abusing myself my whole life. I was never good enough. I was never perfect enough. I don't know if any of you can relate to that. In that moment, I cracked into a million little pieces. And it took me 3 months to find myself in ICU. I was being kept alive on cortisone and steroids. I was having brain seizures, my organs were failing, and my lungs were filling up with fluid. But before I went into ICU, I prayed. And I said, God, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, universe, anyone who's out there, I'm not ready to go yet. I still have so much to do. Please let me stay. And as a last resort, the doctors, when I was in hospital, they did an emergency chemotherapy session on me. And they said if the chemo worked, it would take 18 to 24 months to get me into remission. I got into complete remission in 5 months. I did a whole lot of other things to get there, but I got there. And self-love was the key. It was my gold that I used to put together my object in a whole new way. And the disruption in my life brought me to this place where I am the best version of myself I've ever been. And I feel like I've been kept alive for a reason, to now share the knowledge that I've accumulated and help others become the best version of themselves that they can be. Each and every one of you has a light within you. And they often say that when you crack open, you let the light in. I think it's the other way around. Marianne Williamson says, our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. My wish for you is that you celebrate your cracks and let your light shine. Thank you.